G'day and welcome to Unpopular Reefing. I'm your host, the Unpopular Reefer. Just to those that are curious about the name, when I first looked at growing a seagrass aquarium, I went straight to YouTube to find out how to do it and immediately couldn't find anyone that was doing it, which led me to think that perhaps seagrass aquariums are quite unpopular. And being the unpopular reefer, if you spend most of your time talking about fish tanks, you understand what it's like to have no friends. Anyway, moving on. This is the 6-week update on my seagrass tank, which it's all well and good, but where's the bloody seagrass, you might ask? I think there is one tiny piece just over here. You can see it right down there. That is the Halophila ovalis, the paddlegrass, and if you really squint, there's a tiny patch of it just at the back there. Just a quick reminder, this was the tank on setup. This was it after 2 weeks. This was after 4 weeks. And this is it now. What happened? Well, adding with seagrass from the wild, of course, you get lots of hitchhikers, most of them which are fairly harmless. I did notice there's an outbreak of tiny little shrimp, which I thought were cute at first. And they were getting on so successfully, they even managed to breed, and I had hundreds of tiny little shrimp in the tank, which was very exciting until I realized that their primary diet consisted mostly of seagrass, and they ate everything. Did an excellent job of controlling the algae though. The left-hand wall over here used to be entirely full of just sea lettuce, and I grew it out there intentionally just as a nitrogen sink, and they plucked it clean. So, well, bully for them. Unfortunately, now I've got no seagrass left. What have I added since last time? Well, quite obviously, I've added a couple of mussels. There's a blue mussel there. You'll see he's got a pink anemone on him. I thought I'd put a couple of anemones in here to try and control my shrimp outbreak. There's another blue mussel over here. He's got another 2 red anemones on him. And if you look closely, you might be able to see there's a green anemone just up there. He's been there for a little while, and he's doing a good job. Still, not enough to stop them completely decimating the seagrass population. So, the other obvious addition is up the back here. We've got it's sea velvet. It's a macroalgae. Now, I added that to try and distract the shrimp from the seagrass, and immediately had a pretty big effect. They seemed to love it. When I first put it in the tank, it was completely covered in hair algae to the point that it was almost being suffocated. Within 1 day, they'd picked it clean. Now I'm wondering, are they just going to start eating the algae itself? Well, you know, if it takes their attention away from the seagrass, then I guess it's successful. Just at the front over here, you might see there's a bit more seagrass than last time. This last time I went rock pooling, I did stumble across it. It seemed like a different species to the other 2 I'd already had. So I thought I'd add it, and it might be a bit more hardy. So pretty much the second I put it in the tank, it began dying. So short answer, it is not more hardy. Even the little shrimp don't seem to want to eat it, which I guess is a good thing, but they probably don't want to eat it because it is dead and dying. Interesting story about this guy here, the oyster with all the barnacles on his back. He came from my crab tank. And all those barnacles used to be alive, but because the crab is an arsehole, he ate them all. And I was hoping they could help filter out, you know, excess shrimp, but I feel I'll have to find another barnacle encrusted oyster. I guess I could take a quick look at the crab tank now. So this is the crab tank. You might be thinking, all right, cool, where's the crab? Well, because the crab is an asshole, like I mentioned, he lives in the filter section, which just makes it absolutely impossible to do maintenance on the tank. And he likes to take all his food up there and just stink up the water really bad. So the nitrates are through the roof on that tank, pretty much toxic to anything that would try and live in there. The macroalgae I've added to attempt to bring the nitrates under control, but you know, he'll end up digging them up and throwing them around because, well, he's an ass. So, where to from here with this tank? First of all, I think there's going to be a rebranding. It is no more a seagrass aquarium. It is now a Southern Pacific rock pool style aquarium. So, yeah. I'm going to have to probably dose the water for the sea velvet at the back. Fortunately, because my crab is such a messy eater, the tank above nitrates are through the roof, so I can simply just, when I do a water change, drop a bit of that water into this tank and take some water out of this tank to put it in that tank, because the nitrates on this tank are incredibly low. These are the results from a nitrate test I did today. You can see almost 0 parts per million in the rock pool tank, and it's basically maxing out on the crab tank. So maybe I can kill 2 birds with just doing a water swap rather than a water change every other week. Was it a failure? They say as long as you learn something, nothing's really a failure, and I probably learned a couple of mistakes I made in the initial setup to this. A deeper substrate for a start, probably starting with a bit more seagrass than just a couple of strands could have helped maybe overcome the invasion of tiny little shrimp. Possibly a slightly larger predator, or having anemones and barnacles already in there to help clean them out. I don't know. These are all things I'll be taking into the next build. Yeah, so I guess I'm probably not going to add anything more to this tank in the near future. I say that now, but if I see something cool when I'm out rock pooling, I'll probably just drop it in there. But provided there's no great big crashes or anything, I think I'll just let it go on as is. Anyway, I may actually add some mangroves. I have been growing grey mangroves, not the traditional red mangroves that most aquarists use, sort of on theme for unpopular reefing, using the weird mangroves. These 3 I grew from just propagules. There was about my 5th or 6th attempt before they actually grew. Only problem is now I need to uproot them and put them into a tank, which usually kills them. So I may add them to this rock pool aquarium. Not 100% on that one, but stand by, wait for updates. See you on the next one.